Hello and welcome back to a new video. And did you miss me? Probably not. You probably didn't even notice that I was gone. But I'm back. It was a long trip and I ended up not doing much filming whilst we were away because I was tired and sick and under eating and fading away, as it were. Well, and in all seriousness, so whilst I travel, I tend to undereat rather than overeat. It's one of those, like, because I follow such a strict diet, if I can't get in the right meals, then I tend not to eat, which probably isn't ideal, and it's one of those things that I probably need to work around and you know, do more flexible dieting, but it is what it is. And I did lose quite a bit of weight whilst we were traveling, and I ended up getting down to 62 kilograms, which is not good for strength, it is not good for recovery, it is not good for just overall feeling. In fact, in terms of my body fat and my composition, I'm not far off my stage weight from 2019. 2019 was my last competitive year as a bodybuilder, and that's when I got my pro card. And I weighed in on stage between 59 kilograms. So to be 4 kilograms essentially off my stage weight, yes, I've probably lost a bit of muscle mass since 2019 with all the CrossFit and everything else, but to be so close to my competitive stage weight whilst traveling was not ideal. Like, we were in Las Vegas, and you know, yay Las Vegas, except I was so I ended up being sick, and you know, just walking was effort. And that's where people say, oh no, you know, bodybuilding and getting on stage is healthy, and I'm like, no, it is not, because to push your body to that level where your body fat is so low, you feel like crap, and that is essentially what happened to me. And I ended up getting really sick, and my immune system's been down, and then I just couldn't recover, and then one thing led to another, and you know, here I am at 62 kilograms, and I feel like I'm weak as fuck. So, you know, getting back into the gym, I'm essentially going to start a new book, because I know that my numbers are so down from where they were prior to all the traveling and everything else. So I'm not even going to compare myself to where I was previously, because I know it's just gonna mind fuck me, because I'll be like, oh, I used to be able to do 505 on 115 kilograms, and now I'm down to 95 kilograms. So that is probably not an ideal situation. Yes, I'm definitely going to get my weight back up. I feel like 64, 65, 66 kilograms is roundabout where I am ideal. Obviously, my weight will fluctuate through the month because I am a woman and shit happens, so my weight will fluctuate, and I have to be realistic about that. But if I can, like, on the whole, be around 64, 65 kilograms, I'll be happy. But because my body fat is so low, so we can even look to kind of get an idea. So I know I'm really lean when I start to see the separation between the bicep and the tricep. I'm even got a little bit of like feathering in the tricep. You probably can't see that, but yeah, like, well, I'll even show you. So the lighting is probably not ideal for actual like muscle, but let's take a gander. Right, so that is, yeah, the lighting is crap. The lighting is not ideal for showing muscle, but you get a bit of an idea of my body fat. Here, I'll probably pose more in the gym, because the lighting in the gym is way better for showing actual muscle definition. But in the meantime, so back to the present, which is I decided I'm going to see how my body fat actually looks Not how my body fat actually looks. What my body fat actually is currently with these bad boys. This is why I'm clumsy and I don't play ball sports. Okay, back to the calipers. So these bad boys, so I'm going to measure myself and see where my body fat actually is, and you get to come along for the ride because, you know, it's so exciting. I know, it really is. And we're going to see where my body fat currently is. So let's do actually a brief history and see where my body fat was, because I think that's also interesting. We will go to my body fat. So my last body fat, I was sitting at 63 kilograms, between 63 and 64 kilograms. My tricep was 4, my thigh was 6, my suprailiac was 3, and my abdomen was 4. My body fat was sitting at 7% according to calipers, which of course aren't accurate, so you can usually add like a few percentage onto calipers because they always give you a far lower number than your body fat actually is. And of course we don't have access to a bod pod or something fancy, so this is as good as it's going to get, and it's more just a general monitoring of your body fat. So whatever you do as your form of progress and tracking, you know, it's just for your own personal information, because, you know, there is no need to say, oh, my body fat is this amount or anything like that. Is literally to track your progress, because I don't believe in the scale. I don't believe in, you know, measurements, because, well, you know, centimeters and measuring yourself, because there's so many variables in those. I've already discussed it, but I'll just run through a few things. So like, you know, when it comes to the scale, so many things will change your weight, from where you are in the month, to how much salt you've eaten, to how many carbs you've eaten. If you are in a more varied diet, that will affect you. How many hours of sleep will, you know, vary your weight. If you've, you know, been really stressed or your cortisol levels are high, you will hold water. So there's so many variables when it comes to the scale, and a lot of people like literally become depressed if they get on the scale and they're like 2 pounds or 1 kilogram up, and it's like that is an unrealistic thing to put all your results and how you're progressing into. So, you know, the moment the scale goes, oh, I'm 1 pound up, and you have like, you feel like you let yourself down, I don't think it's a good thing to do. So I use the scale more for curiosity. Every now and then I'll be like, oh look, I've lost some weight, or oh look, I've gained some weight. But when I saw that I was 62 kilograms, I was like, oh, that's a bit light. So we're going to actually find out what the 62 kilogram actually represents in terms of body fat loss. And let's see. So I am using the metric system because I like it. And I am 35, but I'm 36 soon. In fact, no, yeah, I'm 35. I'm 35 for another week. I'm getting old, people. I'm getting old. Right, so my tricep. Oh, and weight, of course, I am now 62 kilograms. So tricep, let's see. I think my tricep was 4 before. We're about to find out. Still 4. I have fat triceps, apparently. 4. I mean, that said 3, but I didn't feel like I got a good pinch there. 3. It's always better to have someone else doing this. But since I've always done it on myself, I feel like that would then change the number. I've gotten 2 3s, 2 4s, and 1 more 3. So in theory, I should go with the 3. Thigh. Right, let's see what my thigh's at. Do you want to look down? No, it's fine. My thigh is sitting at 6.5. 6. So we're gonna go with 6. Okay. So preliac. This one never holds a lot of fat for me. So we'll see. I'll go further back so you can actually see what I'm doing. It's 2.5. 2.5. 2.5. Well, that doesn't help me. Because I don't think you can put in 2.5 on this. 2.5. You cannot. Abdomen. Right. 4. 4. 4. Right. So, overall, I'm still at 7% body fat. Overall, my body fat is exactly the same. Okay, so even though I've dropped a little bit of weight, my body fat, the total ratio according to this calculation is the same. However, we can look at the actual individual measurements and we can see that at certain points, like for example, my triceps are one of the last points to lose fat. When it comes to my overall composition, I find my abs lean out first, or one of the first things to start to lean out, whereas my quads and my back and my triceps tend to hold a bit more fat for longer. So the fact is, in terms of measurements, the body fat may not be down on the overall mathematical equation. However, I can look at the individual numbers. So triceps were 4 and they're now 3. Thigh is exactly the same, so it was 6, it's still 6. So preliac, I was 3 and now it's 2.5, even though on the equation thing I could only put in 2. Abdomen has stayed the same at 4. So I'm down a little bit in weight, down a little fractional amount in body fat. Obviously, you can do a 7-point caliper test where you do your subscapular and a few other points to get a bigger idea of what's going on with your body. For example, I could have lost a bit more fat in my back and I wouldn't know because I'm not doing my subscapular area as a test within, because obviously I'm just doing 4 points rather than 7 points. 7 points will give you a better overall idea of exactly what's going on with your body. So if you're wanting to fine tune exactly and monitor exactly what's going on within your body, I would suggest doing a 7-point test rather than just the 4-point test. But because I'm lazy a bit more, because it's often just me measuring myself, I don't, I can't exactly measure my subscapular easily enough. I mean, so if for anyone wanting to know where your subscapular is, your scapula is here, so my subscapular would be there, which is like almost impossible to measure on myself. No, it's not just almost impossible, it is impossible to measure on myself. So unless you have a second person to do it for you, you won't be able to measure your back points anyway. So, another few things that I should probably mention is, halfway through the trip I stopped taking creatine. So I take creatine monohydrate, 5 milligrams every single day. And of course that can cause intramuscular water retention. So I could have lost some water retention, which will drop weight. For anyone looking at doing creatine, you always look on the package and it says, front load it, or, to get back onto it, just do a massive amount. There's no need to front load creatine. Just take 5 milligrams every single day, preferably at the same time every single day, because literally there is no need to front load it or build it up in your system. Your body will just piss out what you're not absorbing anyway. So just start with 5 milligrams and be consistent. So that was one thing that I neglected whilst I was away, was obviously taking my creatine daily so I could be down in water. And because my diet was slightly off, I did reduce my carbs quite a bit. In fact, I did a calculation halfway through the trip to see where my calories were at, and I was almost 1,000 calories down on what my normal calories are. I'm usually about 2,500 calories, and at one point I was eating as little as 1,400 calories. The majority of those calories was protein, so I was still getting in about 150, 160 grams of protein, which is, so I weigh 144 pounds, so it was just over a gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is ideal. And especially since I was in a deficit, you want to make sure that your protein is high enough to protect muscle mass if you are going into a deficit. So my protein was definitely high enough to protect the muscle mass whilst I was away, and even though I wasn't training as much, obviously I was still in a slight deficit. So those are two factors that I've got to take into consideration, is the fact that I could have dropped some water weight from not eating as many carbs and not taking the creatine. So for the next week, obviously I'm getting back on creatine, so I am expecting to kind of like puff up a bit. Not puff up a lot, because obviously most of the creatine will go intramuscularly, so I might hold a little bit more water than usual for a few days, and then my body will flush it back out and I'll regulate again. And obviously my carbs are going up. Yay, carbs, we like carbs. So more than likely I am gonna go up in weight by like 2 kilograms for a day or two. Not for a day or two, probably for like a week. My weight's going to fluctuate quite a bit as I stabilize my calories back up to 2,500 or thereabouts, and because I'm intentionally trying to put on a little bit more weight because I want to get stronger, I want to get my squat up, and I am going to be doing a squat strength cycle. So that is going to be exciting because I'm going to be squatting multiple times a week. I'm going to be doing 5x5 multiple times a week. I don't know if any of you follow people like Clarence Kennedy or Seeker Strength, but they all went through their strength program for squats, and it's this insane program which I will not be sticking to 100% because I'm not that crazy. And I have to be able to function and do the other movements as well, and not just squat. But they essentially did 5x5 5 times a week. Clarence did 5x5 6 times a week, and I don't know how anyone would ever possibly want to do that because that's just stupid, crazy, insane. But I will be doing 5x5 3 times a week. So I'm going to be back squatting twice a week, and I'm going to be front squatting once a week. So that is going to be my very, very squat dominant phase. And I'm going to see how my body handles it, which is another reason why I'm bumping up my calories, because I really want to get my squat up. It's also a lot lower than it has ever been. So the fact is I'm squatting lower, and I'm trying to get my squat back up. So it is going to be an interesting squat period. But I'm excited to see if I can get my numbers back up. Obviously, most of my squats are going to be raw, which means no knee sleeves, no belt. But I probably will still start adding in one of those components as I start to build back up and hopefully get a bit stronger and a bit more confident in the range of movement. One person commented and they said, if squats scare me so much, maybe I shouldn't squat so low. And the truth is, I've been working so hard at getting my mobility up and getting that full range of motion that I would rather take full range of motion on my squat than just squat to parallel. So Ooh, that's the plan. My camera died. But that is the plan moving forward. So I will be doing a squat program. And one thing that I need to correct myself on is I said 5 milligrams of caffeine. No, creatine. I meant 5 grams of creatine, because someone's going to comment and say, that's not enough. And I agree. It's 5 grams, not 5 milligrams. So comment below. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think, join me for the ride, and I'm thinking of getting some new ink. Let me know what you think. I know someone's going to say, no, don't do it, muscle mommy, don't get new ink, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get my chest done, and then get my chest covered in ink, and people are going to be sad, and I'm going to be happy. So that is how I'm looking, and welcome back. I will be back in the gym tomorrow, so it's going to be exciting, and I hope you join me for the wild ride of 5x5 squatting till we get stronger and more confident. And remember to squat, baby. Ass to grass. Squat ass to grass.